Hey, welcome everybody. I have a very special guest joining us today. One of our members in the Fit Body program, Michael Schwartz, who I like to say went from an overweight dad-bod to torching 20 pounds of stubborn belly fat in 90 days, getting lean, trim, and energetic. So, Michael, thank you so much for joining us here today.
It's my pleasure. How are you, everyone?
Everyone, I would imagine they're better now that you're here, Michael.
All right.
But no, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and maybe just share a little bit more about who you are and a bit about your background as well.
How you doing? I'm Mike Schwartz. I'm dad. I got two kids. Like most fathers, you kind of start running around and doing sports and eating out a lot because you're constantly on the go and you're just eating when you can. And before you know it, you get to a point where you're, a couple of years pass and all of a sudden you got a belly that just came out of nowhere. And, you always try these, keto diets and all these fad diets and Weight Watchers and, you try all these things and, I'm not going to say they don't work, but 6 months later, you somehow get right back to where you were. So had a buddy that was on the program and just saw some crazy results. So gave it a shot and pretty quickly things just started coming off. In the beginning, you're kind of like, I don't know, is this going to work? And then pretty quickly you just get into it and it starts to drop and things just start to move in the right direction. So here we are now. I'm just about 5 months in, 5.5, about 5 months in. And now I'm down about 24
we're
pounds.
If you think about it, we're like 4 months in.
Well, January, yeah, so like 4.5, yeah. So
yeah, we started towards the end of December, like early January, pretty much.
Yes.
Right.
So I'm hoping I'm down 24 pounds already, so still got a few to go, but it's a drastic change from where I was in 2021.
Yeah. And why don't we talk about that? Like, I know, unlike many of the guys that I work with, you were working out a lot more than you are now. Could you talk about where were you before the program?
So I was going to the gym minimum 4 to 5 days a week, lifting, but not no trainers or anything like that, just doing my own routine. That worked for many years. But just the lifting, and it just kind of got monotonous and I ended up gaining weight. So I wasn't eating right, but I did go to the gym thinking that would just, kind of counter each other, but it didn't. And so although I was still able to go to the gym and work out, I wasn't seeing any results. And believe it or not, I used to do on machines 100 to 200 crunches every time I went to the gym, and my belly was getting bigger. I have not done a stomach crunch now since in 2022. I have not done a stomach crunch, and I've actually lost like 3 inches on the belly.
There you go.
Without doing a single stomach crunch, which is kind of the opposite of what I thought prior to this. But believe it or not, it actually worked a little better this way.
I love that. And could you share, like, where were you mentally, emotionally back when you had a little bit of that extra belly fat that you were carrying around?
So yeah, growing up, I was never a heavy guy. So you start to just kind of get a little heavier and heavier, and it makes you tired. It makes you not want to do things, and that's usually not me. I'm usually very active, and I like to get out and do things. So it just kind of puts you almost in like a bad mood. And then now I feel energetic all the time. Even though I'm doing a lot more, I still feel energetic. I'm not tired. I don't get out of breath. Years ago, I used to smoke. We used to walk up a flight of stairs, you get out of breath. Now I could run around and I feel fine. So it's a big difference.
Right. And what would you say has been different with this program than anything you've tried before in the past?
So what's crazy is you kind of think like I'm going on a diet. It's not a diet. So you think you can't eat. You actually eat all day. And I mean all day. It's because you eat 5 meals a day, throw some snacks in between. You're actually eating all the time. You're just now being cautious of what you're eating. So, it might take you an extra, in the beginning, you have to think a little more. As you get used to it, you kind of know what makes it a little easier to know what you're grabbing. And I went from 5 days a week working out to 3, and it actually worked out better for me. So, yeah. So, you think you're doing one thing right from things you heard from people, but this is kind of more tailored. And I also could say, because I have a couple of friends who are doing the program, not exactly what I'm doing. Each one is tailored a little differently because we do talk to each other. Everybody seems to lose weight and doing great, but we're all on different types of diets, different types of exercises. So everybody's a little different, but everybody's seeing results. So it's
yeah, no, it's fun. It's a fun group. They call it the weight loss boys. It's like the lost boys.
Very, very competitive. We hold each other accountable, but it helps. I know. I think we were the first to join as a group, but for us, it works. I mean, it helps. To be accountable. Someone other than you is also holding us accountable. So it's. Yeah. And you don't want to be the guy to lose through the group, so
yeah,
everybody works just that much harder to do that much better.
I love that. It's kind of like you not only have that expert accountability through like your coach, but you also have that peer-to-peer accountability through the guys. Yeah, that's very cool. And what would you say has been like one of your favorite parts about the program so far?
I want to say some of the workouts, but some of the workouts you do kill me just a little bit. Not the early stage ones, the ones we've gotten to. I don't know. I feel really good all together. So I like that. I like the HIIT training. It makes, I don't know why, but it keeps me going. I feel like it works. I feel like I get a really good workout out of it, a good sweat, a good, get the heart rate up. So that's probably the one thing I like doing the most when it comes to the working out part. The eating is, it's nice to know that I could eat whatever I want. I know I didn't believe it in the beginning, but when you said I could eat pizza, I have not saying I eat pizza every day, but I've had pizza like 4 times on this, and I did not gain weight. So it is true when people ask, can you eat pizza? Yes, you can 100% eat pizza. You just got to put it in the, track it, and it's part of the diet. You can have it.
Yeah. And like, talk about that a bit in regards to like traveling, like which you've done quite a bit. Like
I did.
Yeah. And like how you navigated that. And that's a concern a lot of people have. They're like, what do I do when I'm traveling? And like, so maybe you can talk a bit about that experience. Okay.
So we'll be honest right up front. On each trip, I did gain about 2.5 pounds each trip. So you are away. It is a little difficult.
Let's also share the amount of alcohol that was consumed during that week. If you're okay with it.
I'm fine with it. So on a typical day, it was a minimum of 8 to 10 drinks per day. Between sitting on the beach, going out at night, there was all day drinking every day. But I would
consider gaining 2 pounds in a week, 8 to 10 drinks per day, a success.
I agree. But I was on vacation, so we did do it that way. But I stuck to low calorie drinks. So you stick to just the vodka with soda, keep it low calorie, so you can actually do it. But you just, again, I was going out for breakfast, going out for lunch, going out for dinners. But you look at the menu, you make a better choice. You don't go for stay away from the fries and the fried food, but there's plenty on a menu that you could stick within a normal calorie count and still be out. So I was still active. I still actually did exercise while I was on my trip. But and I'm not saying I didn't eat bad at all, but made better decisions than I would have had I not been on the program. Had I not been on the program, usually gained 5-6 pounds on a vacation. So 2.5 pounds, and it's literally was off in 1 week. You home 1 week, back to the routine, and it was gone a week later. And then kept going down since then, both times.
And like, obviously you've had this external transformation. How has that in turn maybe even impacted other areas of your life, such as your confidence in your career and maybe even family?
It's always nice when someone tells you, you lost a lot of weight and you look good. So that's always a nice thing to hear. As far as family, I mean, I've always been active, but now I got a son who runs track, so now I could run with him, not at his speed, unfortunately. He's much faster than me, but I could keep up and do things, be active around my children, which, for any father, that's all you really want. I never wanted to be an absentee father where I just watch from the sidelines. I want to be in there doing stuff with them. So it feels good to be able to do that.
I love that. And with that, would you say there's an internal transformation that you experienced alongside with losing the weight? And if so, maybe talk about that as well.
So you just get a lot more energy. I don't know why. I feel like the more the days you work out, you feel really good about yourself and you just feel like you could go do more. Where, I always say you sit on the couch, you don't feel like getting up, but if you get up and do something, you feel like doing more. So it just helps with your overall just desire to get up and do things.
Right. And what would you say, maybe if you can give everyone a golden nugget, what would you say contributed most to the fat loss that you experienced?
The walking, 100% the walking. If you get the steps in, I guarantee you, I was walking 3.5 miles in January, February. I still do it, but freezing my ass off. I wore a jacket, a hat, and I went and I walked, and I swear those are where you see the days after you walk is where you see the biggest losses. You know what? I didn't believe it at first. The steps work, and if you watch any of these videos, you'll see there was a guy who hit 20,000 steps. I took it as a personal challenge. I hit the 20,000 steps too. And then one of the guys in my group, he was mad that I hit it. So he actually hit it yesterday. So, these videos, sometimes you see someone do something, you want to just get out and do it more. So I think his name is Ted. No disrespect, yes. But I saw it as a challenge. So I hit it too.
He'd very much appreciate the shout out. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I did watch. So, yeah, and it was a good feeling at the end of the day. Towards the end of the day, I did walk around the house a little bit just to make sure I hit it. But, I did actually hit that.
Nicky was sharing that. He said you were walking between your kitchen.
Because it got to be like 11 o'clock and it was like I was at 19.5 and I was like, I'm hitting the 20,000 no matter what, but I have no place to go. So I just started walking back and forth. And when I hit the 20,000, I think it was like 20,035 steps when I caught it on the phone. So I snapped the picture and sent it. So
love that. And
little challenge that I would have never taken a year ago. I would have thought that was crazy and never did it.
Right. Just for some context, to make sure like some people know that that's not your like daily step goal. Where is your average steps for the day at normally?
Usually 10 to 12,000 is where I'm normally at. Some days you get more, some days, there are days you're busy. You get 8,500, you make it up the next day. But overall, that's where I've been 10 to 12,000.
Got it. And Michael, what would you say has been like the greatest non-weight loss benefit of the program?
Non-weight loss. I don't know, maybe just the knowledge I gained of, what to eat. You don't realize that the stuff you put in your body until you start really looking because you're counting it. And, it's a good knowledge to have. You stop eating a lot of the crap that, is out there. And then you could find something really great and teach your coach about, a really great ice cream that's really good for you that he had no idea about. But so sometimes we teach coach too.
That's true. Like I become the student. Why don't you share that ice cream? I haven't tried it, by the way, but it sounds amazing.
Yasso bars.
Yasso bars.
Yasso bars. Phenomenal, very healthy. I think the most calories of any one of them is 100 to 110. They have some that are at 80, some that are at 90. They taste phenomenal. It's a nice little dessert, and a lot better than a lot of different ice creams you could grab. Tastes just the same, and it's really good for you. It actually you went through the ingredients with me, and it's actually good for you.
Yeah.
So
it's Urslan approved.
Yes, we're gonna put a stamp on that.
Very cool. And Michael, what would you say almost stopped you from investing into the program, and maybe something that was a hesitation you had to overcome?
To me, it's always the looking for the start date. It's I'm going to start Monday. No, I'm busy this Monday. Let me start next week. And then I knew I was ready, and I did kind of put a date on it. And the night before, it was January 3rd that I really started and went up. And January 2nd, I was like, I'm not prepared. I had busy all day. I didn't go food shopping, and I scrambled in the morning to go out and get some grilled chicken and some healthy stuff for the day. So just to getting started, and then once you get in that routine, it's smooth sailing. But that first day of, I got to be prepared, it's like starting anything in life, so just that getting to start, and then you get through that first day, the rest of it is easy.
And how did you navigate yourself through that to get started? Because like you said, there's so much holding you back from getting started initially.
Mentally, I was ready. I looked at myself and I said, I know I'm overweight. This was the heaviest I've ever been in my life. Not by much, but by a few pounds, it was the heaviest. And it was either I was going to keep going up or I was going to go down. So I was ready to make that change. But again, finding that start date, because when we started talking, it was the holidays, and I don't know, maybe I should have started. I know a lot of people got through the holidays just fine, but I wanted to get through the holidays and enjoy that last month. And so I think that really is. But once you mentally get your mindset into, I'm going to do this, you get through that first couple of days, and it's pretty simple after that.
Yeah. You brought up a good point. I feel like a lot of people have a negative connotation with weight loss. They just have a negative relationship with exercise and eating. Even you said it there, it's like, I wanted to enjoy it before I began this. Would you say that you've had a mindset shift in that, wait a minute, I can enjoy my life while still doing this simultaneously now?
Actually, yes. So, in the beginning, you think like, I'm going to have to start eating all this healthy stuff. And, you kind of, was on a kick of, I'll eat whatever I want. But then you realize, like, you forget, if you don't eat vegetables all the time, you forget how good vegetables are. Sweet. They actually are very tasty. So when you start incorporating a vegetable with all your meals, you actually start to enjoy it. And you realize that, it doesn't taste bad. And the other shit that you eat, you finish eating, you have a stomach ache, you feel horrible 10 minutes later. Where you eat healthy, you feel good about yourself, and you forget how it actually tastes good. And it's, the food is now colorful, and it's enjoyable to eat. So I think that's really, really the thing that you just have to get your mindset into. It's not hard to eat healthy. Listen, it takes a little bit of work to meal prep. It's not that hard. You gotta make yourself food anyway.
The air fryer.
Right. I'm a big fan of the air fryer. But I think that's really where people have to just get that mindset of, it's, the food is very tasty. It just, you gotta get back into that mindset of eating that colorful meals, and colorful meals are really the healthy ones. Where fried foods and fast food, it just, it might taste good going down, but 10 minutes later, you feel awful about yourself.
Yeah.
Not that I was eating a lot of fast food. I haven't eaten fast food in many years, but I just still wasn't eating great. But then you learn, you could go out to eat. Me and my wife still go out to dinner almost every weekend. We go out to dinner one night. You could have a glass of wine. You could eat whatever you want. You just have to, you have to learn to be on the program, but you realize you can go out, still go out to dinner, go out, do whatever you want, and still lose weight doing all of that.
Right. So, Michael, knowing what you know now, if you could almost like transport back in time, obviously everything happens at the time it's supposed to, and there's no regrets. But maybe what would you say to somebody that had that mindset that you used to have and they're on the fence about starting? What would you say to that person?
Don't waste your time, because as you start to even after the first week, when you start to get that first loss, you'll feel so good about yourself and you'll see how easy it is. You're just wasting time. You're prolonging, where you could feel better. Don't wait. Don't procrastinate. It's not hard, and you'll actually feel really good about yourself.
I love that. That's actually one of the most common things I hear about the program is like this is really easy. Like it's not,
because going in, you think it's going to be like everything else. So you think like, all right, I did Weight Watchers before and I counted my points, and and I was, I remember from doing Weight Watchers, I got used to it, but that first week I was literally starving. And here I could honestly say I never starved myself. Not to give away all your tricks, but you obviously go through the nutrition, and there were times you said you got to eat more, where you don't really, you're like, I'm not hungry, but then we have our meetings and you're like, well, you should up this and eat more of this. And I'm like, but I'm full. So, a lot of people don't understand that you're actually going to be full, but you need to eat more because that's part of the program. So it's, something they have to learn when they're on it, but it's not always it's not starving yourself. It's actually calculated. So sometimes you have to actually eat more, not less.
100%.
So,
and by the way, feel free to talk about the tricks and the secrets. I talk about it anyways all the time. Because at the end of the day, without the accountability, I can give you, I give away workout plans and nutrition plans. Obviously, it's like, here's a 2,000 calorie plan. It may or may not fit where you are. And here's a workout program. It may not, but like I've given those things up before. But I find that without the accountability, like you're not going to actually do it. And you're not going to know how to take the next step after that either. So feel free to talk freely about the program.
But that's really what it is. It's, even I know from my personal friends who do it, we're all on different calorie counts. So it's, but I think every one of us has had the thing of you weren't eating enough, because everyone had the mindset of, oh, well, I want to try to lose more. And then, we realize, no, you have to eat enough. Yeah. So something you have to learn, they'll learn as they go along, but it's not a starving thing. You're definitely not going to starve on this plan.
Right. I feel like that's what we did with all of you guys. I'm like, not all of them, but like maybe at least 2 or 3 of you guys. I was like, you're exercising too much and you're not eating enough.
Yeah. Well, because you think I'm on a diet, so I want to eat less, but that's, not always the case. So.
Right. Yeah, man. And what, I guess, parting words of wisdom would you have to anyone that may be watching this video?
Don't wait. You know what? It's your life. You actually feel like you get your life back when you start to lose weight, and you just being more energetic. You'll live a better life. You'll enjoy life more. Don't wait.
I love that. I did a whole I don't want to call it a podcast, but I did a whole video on that just the other night. So that's good to hear. Very good.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, all you're waiting for is to feel good about yourself. So if you could feel good in 3 months or in 6 months, wouldn't you want to do it in 3 months? So I know that.
Yep, go on.
Someone I grew up with. I don't want to call anybody out, but somebody that I knew growing up saw a post from when you and me were at the gym together, and he got off the fence, and I'm sure he's doing good now, and it's just getting started. And sometimes you got to see, for me, that's what it was too. I had to see my friend, and the way he lost weight, he looked good, and not going to name his name, but I'll tell you, he's 50 years old. And at 50 years old, to be able to look like that after what we looked like before, it's a big accomplishment. So
I feel like he would appreciate the shout out as well.
He knows. He'll watch it later. Yeah. So
cool, man. Well, I mean, I was talking about this with somebody as well. So it really resonates. It resonates a lot. So I wanted to say thank you, Michael, for your time tonight. I know it's a little later here in the evening, so I appreciate you making this time.
No problem at all.
Yeah, and thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for watching, and we hope that you found some value from this. And if you did, there are a couple of ways that you can help. One is you can like or heart this video. That way, more and more people can see it. And two is you can share this with another family member or friend that you believe would also find some value from it. So thank you so much for watching. Michael, thank you again for tuning in here with us. And we will see you in our next video.
All right, sounds good. Have a good night, everybody.